So as I said, we covered this in a video yesterday, so if you need to go back and look over any of this or want to fill this out, check out the video I posted on yesterday's.
Yeah.
Go to the cup back there. Coffee? Oh, a paper, yes. There you go. So if you need to go back over this, go back to Tuesday on the agenda for that. Also, you are going to want to have a calculator for part of these notes, so go ahead and grab one out if you need one. I have 4 in the back there, and then if I run out, I have more at my desk. So go ahead and take a moment and do that. Just handhelds. All right, today we are focusing on evaluating functions. Yesterday the focus was on, is it a function, is it not a function? Today we're going to focus on plugging stuff in. We use functional notation that looks like f of x, g of x, h of x. We can use other letters, but those are the 3 that we usually use in Algebra 2. We have seen this many times before. Notice when I read that symbol, I say f of x. I don't say f times x. That's how a lot of students read that. That's incorrect. One other important detail. We've discussed this many times over the past semester. F of x is the same as what? Y is correct. F of x and y are interchangeable. Usually, I like to replace f of x with y. This is the one unit where that's not always the best idea, because it is important to be able to use the notation. So you won't see me replace, but I will write down the y quite a bit of times just as a reminder of what we're looking for. For these next 3 problems, we're going to be answering the same question on all 3, but it's with a different representation. For each function below, find f of 3. So let's start with the table. And the question f of 3, notice that it's originally f of x. So when we put a number in x's place, it's directly telling us that that is the value of x. This means x equals 3. What is y? That's the question. So let's look at the table first. We have our x's and then f of x, which remember is also y, same thing. The question is f of 3. So again, that 3 is the x value. So what we're trying to find is the y value. Another way to put this is we have half a point. We know that x is 3. We're trying to find y. So we go to the table. We go to the x's. We find 3 in the x values. And then we see what the y value is. The y value is 6. So 6 is our answer. And that's it. Number 2, same question, but this time we have a set of points. So again, we're trying to find f of 3. Again, that means x is 3. We're trying to find y. So we have the point 3 something. So this time we're going to go through the points and find the one that has a 3 in x's spot. That point is the second one, 3, negative 5. 3 is the x value, negative 5 is the y value. That's what we're looking for. So, negative 5 is our answer. Questions on the first 2 examples. All right, our last representation here, the graph. Again, we're being asked the same question. We need to find f of 3. The information is exactly the same. We know that x is 3. We're trying to find y. So we go onto our graph. We go onto 3 on the x-axis, and then we find the point. The point is right here. And that is the point 3, negative 1. So negative 1 is our answer. Questions on the graph? All right, next page. Here we have the equations. This is the main focus of this unit. You will see the other stuff for sure in test form, but we really focus on equations for this unit. This time we give you f, g, h, and we actually give you an equation that goes with it, and we're going to plug numbers into that. Number 4. Given f of x equals 4x plus 2, find f of negative 3. So again, this is telling us that x is negative 3. That's what that means. So anytime we see an x in the equation, we're going to put negative 3 in its place. So we're going to put negative 3 in there. And a negative 3 in there. Let's rewrite it. We have f of negative 3 equals 4 times negative 3 plus 2. Now this f of negative 3 on the left side. Some students, I don't know what they do, but they do some kind of calculation with this. You can't do anything with the f and the negative 3. F is f. There's nothing to do with it. It's just a symbol. Don't overcomplicate it. The only thing you can do is figure out what this number is here on the right side. And you can either do that in your head or with your calculator. I always recommend calculator at least to check your work, especially on a test. So I'm going to use the calculator in just a moment. F of negative 3 equals, and then we're going to get that number. And if you're new here, you're going to hear me say this a lot. It's really important that what you type in is correct, because if you're trusting the calculator to do the math, you want to make sure you have the right answer. So if you see me write it, you're going to see me type it. 4 parentheses negative 3, parenthesis, plus 2. And I get negative 10. That's all you do. If you plug the things in correctly and you type it into the calculator correctly, these problems are not bad at all. Let's do another one. Number 5, given g of x equals 2x squared plus 8x, find g of negative 1. So that means x is negative 1. So anytime you see an x, we're going to put a negative 1. Negative 1 there. Negative 1 there. And a negative 1 there. Every single x gets a negative 1. Let's rewrite it. We have g of negative 1 is equal to 2 times negative 1, use those parentheses, squared, plus 8 times negative 1. And then we just use our calculator. And I strongly recommend the calculator on this one, especially when we have exponents. If we don't do order of operations correctly when we're doing it in our head, that can make some major mistakes there. 2 times negative 1 in parentheses, squared goes on the outside of the parentheses, plus 8 times negative 1 in parentheses. If you type that in correctly, you should get negative 6. Questions on the first two problems? Let's do one more. Given h of x equals 7x minus 3, find h of 2 plus 7. This is what we call a multi-step problem because we have to do multiple things to get to the answer. It's not just a one and done. A lot of students will stop too early with these problems. So clearly we're going to need to find h of 2, but we won't be done when we get that number. We're going to have to add 7 as well to get our final answer. So make sure you answer the question that is being asked. That's the most important thing here. So we are looking for h of 2 plus 7. This is kind of like my answer area, if you will. It's just a visual reminder of what I need to do to finish the problem so that I don't fall into that trap of finishing the problem too early. So, we are looking for h of 2, which tells us that x is 2. And our problem, or our equation, I should say, is h of x equals 7x minus 3. So that means both of these x's are going to get a 2. So we have h of 2 equals 7 times 2. Minus 3. H of 2 equals, you're welcome to use your calculator for that. I'm just going to talk aloud what it is. 7 times 2, that's 14, minus 3, that is 11. Now remember, I'm not done. It feels like I'm done because the past two problems I was done here. I'm only partially done. So I found h of 2, it's 11. And then I have to add 7 to that. That will be my final answer. 11 plus 7 is 18. That is the final answer. Questions on number 6? Next, we're going to get into operations. These are actually very straightforward, so don't overcomplicate them. We'll go through each one. Let f of x equals x squared plus 7x plus 12, and g of x equals 3x minus 4. I'm going to color code these for the notes. So this time we're given 2 different equations. We just got to pay attention to which one we're using at all times. Evaluate each function. Number 7, f plus g of x. That's exactly what you think it is. You are going to add f and g. There is a slightly nicer way to write that, so I'm going to rewrite that. F of x plus g of x. So here we're separating them and giving them their own x instead of just grouping them together with the same x. This is all notation. Again, don't think that far into it. It's just how we're writing it, whichever way we want to. But the end goal is the same. We are just adding these together. That's it. I'm going to replace f and g with their equations because I can't add physically the f and the g together. So let's bring in their equations instead. F of x is x squared plus 7x plus 12 plus g of x, which is 3x minus 4. This is just Algebra 1 stuff. From here, the only thing we can do is combine like terms. So we have 2 x's and then we have 2 constants. They don't have an x on them, so I can combine those as well. X squared is just going to come down. We have x squared, 7x plus 3x, that's 10x. 12 minus 4, that's plus 8. And that's all we can do. Number 8, subtraction. F minus g of x. Again, I can write them with their own separate x's. F of x. Now, subtraction's really special. I'm actually going to put a star next to that one. So this one I'm going to have to handle very carefully. So f of x, we have x squared plus 7x plus 12 minus g, which is 3x minus 4. Now, as I've already said, subtraction is very special. You have to be very careful with it. So I'm going to put this back set in parentheses. Anything that comes after that minus needs to be grouped into parentheses. I'm going to rewrite this and then actually do the step that I need to do. X squared plus 7x plus 12 minus And then in parentheses, I have 3x minus 4. This is definitely one of the sneakiest, one of the most forgotten rules in all of algebra is how to handle problems like this one here. When you subtract, you're subtracting this entire expression, not just the 3x, not just the first thing. So the trick to handling this is to treat this negative as a -1 and then distribute it inside those parentheses. So we now have x squared plus 7x plus 12. Distributing, we have minus 3x, -1 times -4, that's a plus 4. And then from here we can combine like terms like usual. 7x and -3x can be combined. 12 and 4 can also be combined. We have x squared. 7x minus 3x, that's plus 4x. 12 plus 4, that's 16. Questions on 8. Again, make sure you're extra careful with those subtraction problems. Number 9, this is multiplication, f times g of x, which we can separate as f of x times g of x. F of x, we have x squared plus 7x plus 12 times g of x, which is 3x minus 4. Now, when we multiply these, we must have parentheses around both of those functions. It's the only way to do it. We've done plenty of multiplication, but not with something quite like this last semester. We did quite a bit of these where we had two binomials, 2 terms each, and we used the FOIL method or double distribute, whichever one makes more sense to you. And I kind of warned you about this a while ago. I don't like FOIL because when you add another term to either of those, now FOIL doesn't work. FOIL isn't long enough. We need to do more than just FOIL. So distribution is the better way to look at what we're doing here. So what we're going to do, we're going to do this 3 times, is we're going to take each term in the first set of parentheses and we're going to distribute it into the second set. So I'm going to multiply x squared into here, and then 7x into here, and then 12 into here. You just have to be very methodical about it. It takes a bit of time to do, yes, but again, if you follow the steps like you're supposed to, you'll be just fine. So let's start with the x squared. X squared gets multiplied into the second set of parentheses. So we're going to multiply it by that. X squared times 3x. So let's bring the 3 down. X squared times x. Be careful with that. What is that? I'll tell you it's x something. X squared times x. X squared times x. Yes. Remember, when you multiply x's together, you're actually just adding the exponents. So this becomes x cubed. Be careful with that. X squared times -4, we just Throw those together. Negative 4x squared. So we distributed x squared. Now we're going to go through and distribute 7x. So we're going to multiply 7x into here. And I'm going to go under this time. Just looks a little nicer. So now we're going to do that again, but with 7x. 7x times 3x. 7 times 3 is 21. And it's a positive 21. And again, we've got two x's and we're multiplying. X times x is x squared. Adding those exponents. 7x times negative 4, we're just going to multiply the numbers. That's negative 28x. Lastly, we need to go through one more time and distribute the 12 into there. At this point, it's going to look a little messy, so I'm going to use a different color for the 12. So this is my third distribution. 12 times 3x is 36x. 12 times negative 4 is negative 48. So we're just distributed 3 different times, just multiplication here. Now we can go through and combine like terms, and then we're done. Let's look for like terms. We have a cube term, and we don't have any others, so that's just going to come down. Squareds, I have 2 of them, and they're lined up next to each other, so I can combine those. Next, I'm going to look for x's, and I do have 2 x terms. I can combine those. And then the negative 48 is going to hang out at the back by itself. So let's combine. Negative 4x squared plus 21x squared. This is positive 17x squared. Negative 28x plus 36x. This is positive 8x. And then bring down negative 48. And we're done. Questions on number 9? Number 10 looks like it's going to be bad because it's division. It's actually not. This is the easiest one on the page. F divided by g of x. We can write that a little better. That is just f of x divided by g of x. So let's do that. F of x, x squared plus 7x plus 12 on the top. G of x, 3x minus 4 on the bottom. And that's all we can do here. Questions before we do the last problem on the back side. Okay. On the back here we have a graph. Notice there are 2 lines, 2 different graphs on here instead of 1. We have an F on the bottom and a G on the top. This is by far one of the most missed questions on the test. Yes, you will see something just, not the exact graph, but something very similar to this on the test. It's not a hard problem. Just last year, a lot of students didn't have enough experience with it. So I'm showing it to you early so that you've seen it. You'll have some practice with it. By the time you get to the test, you're going to be a pro. The struggle when you do this is just making sure you're looking at the right line when you're answering the questions. Number 11. F of 4 plus G of 4. So when I do my answer, I'm actually going to do it up here. I'm going to continue this on. And then I'm just going to do the work underneath. So f of 4 and we'll figure out what that is in just a moment. Once again, reminder, the 4 is the x value. The blank that we're trying to find is the y value. So really, the question is, we know that x is 4. We're trying to find y. We're trying to find the other half of that point. So we go to the graph. Go to the f graph. Make sure you're looking at the bottom one when you answer this. We're going to go where x is 4. So we're going to go to the x-axis, 4, and then we're going to go up till we hit the graph for f. Here's the point for 4. It connects to 2 on the y-axis. So 2 is the y value. So that means we have 2 for the first number, plus, and then we need to figure out what g is. So we're going to do that again. G of 4 equals so we're doing the same thing but with the g graph this time. We know x is 4. What's the y value? Let's go look at the graph. This time we're going up to the top line here. 4 on the x-axis, and we're going to go up to this point. That connects to 5 on the y-axis. So this time for g, the answer is 5. So the question is, what is 2 plus 5? And that gives us 7. 7 is the overall answer. What a lot of students do is just add the numbers in the parentheses. So here that'd be 4 plus 4, and they would give me 8. That is very incorrect. Don't do that. One more, and then we're done. F of g times g of 2. Sorry, f of 6. F of 6, so our question is, we know that x is 6, what is y? So let's go to the graph. We go to 6 on the x-axis, and then we're going to stop at the bottom line because we want the f graph. 6 on the f graph connects to 3 on the y-axis. So 3 is what we're looking for. So we have 3 times, and then we're going to find g of 2. So this time we know that x is 2, and we don't know what y is. What did you say? Did you say 7? Let's take a look. If we go to... I see what you're doing. So if we go to 2 on the x-axis, this time we're going to the g graph. So when you go to the top one here, we're going to hit the top point here. That connects to 4 on the y-axis. So g of 2 is 4. 3 times 4 gives me 12, yes. And that's all you do. Any further questions on the graph?